towards where Davy Rogers is up. Rogers swings the left. Davy Rogers! What a goal by Davy Rogers!
Not one person in this stadium seen this coming. You can see the guards behind the goal at the main stand. They will be investigating Shelbourne for robbery. They have absolutely mugged Trinity United here at Tottenham.
And find the goal! Harry Wood, the jersey's off. 6 minutes to... Look at the back one! What a goal that is!
Hi folks, and welcome to another LOI Talk. This time we are joining a bit earlier due to some time constraints. We need to be flexible. We want to make sure that we deliver this content. If it's a bit early, fine. If it's to be a bit later, fine. Important thing that we are here to share insights in terms of what's going to be the action in the League of Ireland in the next few days after the break. Let's see what's the break impact. Maybe that's something that we should discuss here. What's the role of the break, since that some teams may benefit, some teams may not feel great about having a pause of a week or so. So let's put everything on the table and let's make it dynamic. So the chat box is open. If you guys have questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. I want to make sure this works two ways. And I'm delighted to have here, I will call our resident commentator, Cornell, who was here with us on Sunday as well. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm very, very well. Thank you very much. Hoping you're well as well, Victor.
Yeah, well, good. Thanks very much. Matt, welcome back.
Thanks very much. Yeah, it's been a busy couple of weeks. I'm doing my leading cert at the moment, so hence why I haven't been able to really do much. But I have a nice little break. I have business today, so my next exam is accounting on Wednesday, which is fantastic. It means I have a bit of a break. But yeah, I'm delighted to be back regardless.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So if you guys are into this sort of conversations about the League of Ireland, make sure to stay around for the next hour or so. If you know someone who's into it and is not following us, make sure to share that we can have more and more people paying attention to the kind of conversations we deliver here. And if you haven't subscribed, it would be good if you can do that, because that's how this thing gets distributed. I also want to add that this episode is sponsored by Travel Device. So Travel Device has started working with us, sponsoring some of our episodes, and they are experts when it comes to build itineraries for people who are hesitant about going to certain places. So if your trip is around sports or football, that's not an obstacle. They are experts in that field too, so make sure to contact them. You can use our phone, you can email them. The important thing is to present the discount code I put in the YouTube video description. So make sure you use that and enjoy. So let's get to the games here. I'll just start with Matt, since you haven't been here for a while. And there's let's say this is a kind of it's almost like a derby, because both teams are from the West, Derry and Galway, and they are probably in different momentum. But after the break, everything can happen on the pitch.
Yeah, Derry are 3 points ahead of Galway at the moment. I suppose I'm just looking at the run of form here, and like Derry in a bit of a bad spot at the moment. Like they lost their last 2 games away to Bows and at home to Rovers. So Shamrock Rovers, that is. And like I was looking at Derry, like I was at the Derry game the last because in the home end, albeit, but I felt I was really disappointed like by Derry. I know we're known for seeing games out on the Bows fan, for those who might not be aware, but like we're used to seeing games out and stuff. So, but I was still like really disappointed by Derry. I was expecting a lot more from them. Expected a bit of a tougher contest. Like I know they hadn't been too great like as of late, but they failed to win their last 3 games, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I suppose Galway are kind of on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. They've not lost their last 2 games. They drew away the Rovers. They bet Cork at home, but they lost their last 4 games before that. Derry won in Terryland in April. So it could be definitely an interesting game. I don't think this week's has any dead rubbers just yet. I think there's there's points to be won, there's positions to be changed at both ends. So yeah, I'm going out maybe for a draw on that one.
All right, Cornell, your thoughts on the upcoming game in Derry?
Yeah, my thoughts on this is going to be a very, very interesting game. Both teams obviously are looking to bounce back. Obviously, Derry City have won 2-3 games this season. Derry City obviously want to get back to winning ways as well, and to play how they do. So it'll be very interesting to see how both teams get on. But I think Galway United is looking very, very pretty decent. They've just added Malcolm Shaw from the Canadian League, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a front two or front three of Galway United. But it wouldn't be surprising if Shaw and Dyer obviously link up together, despite that he knows Asua and obviously Moses Dyer, of course, from the Canadian League days. So I think this may go into Galway United's favour because of the front two, front three. Obviously, Patrick Hickey is also, I think, is also trying to get back into good form as well, and he's on fire at the moment. So, but I think Derry, I think it would be interesting to see how they line up, how Lynch approaches this game. I mean, look, I think this is more going to go of a Galway United win. If Derry City don't turn up and they don't find a way to get back to winning ways, it wouldn't be surprising if Galway United will shock them. And I mean, they are playing some impressive, wicked football this season. So I wouldn't rule out Galway United just yet. So I'm going to go for a Galway United win.
Right. Now, in Inchicore, there will be an interesting game, given that Pats, they badly need the 3 points. They are not where they expected at the beginning of the season, and they are facing the underdogs, Drogheda, who are very tough. It doesn't matter if they play at home or away; they're always a team hard to beat. Matt.
I suppose Drogheda's heads will be all over the place right now, because at the moment there's doubt as to whether or not they'll be able to play in the Conference League because of them being cup winners. So their heads are going to be completely all over the shop. It'd be interesting to see if that kind of plays into their heads or whatever. But Drogheda have been very kind of stable, very consistent. Like, they've mostly drawn games, but they're still third, obviously, which is good for them. And I suppose it'd be interesting to see if what's it called, if that sort of that cloud is hanging over them of like, will they play in Europe, will they not? And I have thoughts on that, but if that will affect them really in any way, I suppose as for Pats, look at they bet Sligo away 1-0 their last game as well. So but I'm starting to think Drogheda will. It's funny, I don't really see Drogheda keeping up their form right now. I think number one is that cloud hanging over them, will they play in Europe? And then number two, even if they do play in Europe, it's like that's going to be a distraction for them. So I see Pats win this one. I suppose, mind you, I'm looking at some of their results. Like, they drew 2-2 at home to Waterford, lost 4-0 away at Rovers, lost 2-1 away to Shells and stuff. So they're not on the best run of form at the moment, and it must be said. But that being said, I think Pats will kind of bounce back in a way. I know they backed Rovers away in the last game, but I still think it'll be a decent win for Pats, like maybe a 2-1 or something. Because like Drogheda again, they're like, it's kind of, they're up in the air at the moment, and I think there's so much going on right now, like so much on their minds. I don't think they'll be able to focus much on this game. So I'd say Pats will win that one, like 2-0 or something, or 2-1 maybe.
You mentioned that you have some thoughts around the fact that Drogheda might be excluded from the European competitions. Do you want to just briefly mention your views on that? I know the main topic is the League of Ireland, but if you can just sum it up, I would be interested.
Yeah, look, I think I don't agree with club ownership. I think it's wrong, because it's a slippery slope down towards football becoming a bit of a monopoly. But that being said, I think if Drogheda were to be punished, if they were to be kicked out of Europe, it would not be hurting Trevella, who are breaking the rules here in terms of multi-club ownership. It would hurt the fans, it would hurt the players, who all of whom worked so hard to get here. And UEFA go on about competitions being won by sporting merit, but then at the same time they're kicking out teams who've gone there based on sport merit. And there's rules to be followed. I know, obviously, you can't have two clubs that you own in the same competition. I'm aware of that. I know there's rules. But at the same time, I just think it would be incredibly unfair to draw their fans, to draw their players, to the management and stuff like that, if they were to be kicked out of Europe because of the actions of their owners, because of a team in Denmark. Like, that's not fair. That's not right. And I think fucking it would just be super unfair on the fans, on the players, and like everybody's worked hard to get here because of the actions of a team in Denmark and because of the actions of their owners, over whom they have no control. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would subscribe to everything you just said. Or at least these things should be outlined from the beginning. They should be clear, and everyone was aware of it. And I think if it comes as a last minute, it's fishy. That's how I see it. Cornell,
I don't think it's fishy, but I think it's...
I'm sorry?
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, you want
just
me?
Finishing.
Okay.
No, sorry, there was some... we were talking at the same time. You want to add something else, Matt?
You said it was fishy. I don't think it's fishy or anything, but I think it's just... I don't think it's fishy, but I think it's just a bit unfair. It's just a bit unfair on the fans and stuff. But like, I don't think there's anything nefarious going on or anything. But I think it's just fishy. It's just a bit unfair on the fans. Look, again, like if there's rules to be followed, they have to be followed. I get that. I understand. We'll be breaching terms and conditions, but I don't think it would be hurting Trevella if Drogheda were to be kicked out of the competition. I think you'd have to push Trevella, but you shouldn't punish the fans, the players, all of whom again have worked very hard to get to this stage. But
sorry, Cornell, your turn. Apologies.
My thoughts on Drogheda, obviously possibly being kicked out of the European football, I think is a absolutely disgrace. They have worked so hard, as a team. They've worked together to really get this far and to be into the European places and to be in the UEFA Conference League, for them to have a shot and to be in the qualifying group stages to really show that they can compete against the very best teams in Europe. And if they were to be, kicked out, I think it would be an absolutely disgrace to the club, to the owners, to the fans that have really paid their hard-working monies to really go and see, not just only to go and see Drogheda as a team, but to go on and to have their own first experience of going into the UEFA Conference League and European football on a whole. So, obviously I read that Girona and Manchester City are also having their chances as well of being in it as well too. I even read that Derry City as well want a chance as well to be in Europe. So, I mean, it's not really fair what's going on with Drogheda for me. But I think it would be a disgrace if they were to kick him out, because that is their passion. That is what Drogheda United stands for. But on the other side of things, besides the problems that's going on in European football, St. Pat's versus Drogheda, I think, is going to be another interesting game, because going to Drogheda's football ground is not easy. Even though, yes, St. Pat's have away record is not very great. 10 losses away from home is not very the record that you would expect St. Pat's to do. But look, their previous games obviously speaks for itself. They have not been in the best of form. And I said previously, before even the international break, I said, I want to see a response from St. Pat's. I want to see a response from the front three and the front four. I want to see a response from Mason Melia and Mulaney's and Jamie Lennon's and so on. I want to see them rise to the occasion. Drogheda, I mean, look, we're talking about an underdog team who is going through problems off the pitch. We're talking about a team that was top of the League of Ireland before Shamrock Rovers took over and St. Pat's took over.
we're talking about an underdog team that will always give 100%, and they always make it hard for the opposition at their ground. So I'll be very interested to see how Drogheda do respond from it. I'm hoping that the UEFA exclusion does not affect them going into tomorrow's game against St. Patrick's, because I want to see Drogheda being switched on. I want them to be playing the same football as we expect them to do. But the way that it's looking at the present moment, it looks like that St. Pat's are going to go on and win. And I think Aidan McKinnon has really got something to say, especially being out for 12 weeks. And we're finding out that we're seeing the very best of Aidan McKinnon. And that's what I want to see from him tomorrow. I want to see him scoring goals and knocking Moses Dyer off the goal scoring charts and making his presence felt and sending a huge message to not just to the League of Ireland itself, but to the St. Pat's fans that he's back and he's back to score goals, and to, at the end of the season, go on and win the Golden Boot this new season. So I'll be very interested. So I think it's going to be a St. Pat's win against Drogheda.
Next one is taking place in the Rebel County match. So our two teams are meeting on Friday. Cork, Bohemians. Would you try to make an analysis that are not too biased? I know it's very tricky, but let's try our best here.
Yeah. Firstly, can I just say it's great to see the likes of Sean Maguire back for Cork, but I think for us, like, we're in a bit of a good patch at the moment, Betderry, and then, like, I know before that we lost to Drogheda and stuff. It was never a penalty, by the way, for Drogheda, ever in a million years. Fucking referees doing us over again. But I think in terms of Bows, like, we're on a good run again. This is against a team that's, like, you'll probably agree with me, Victor, not very good. Cork aren't very good in the moment, despite the fact you have Cathal Sullivan, you have Sean Maguire. I know he's just come back from fitness. I know Keating is still out with injury at the moment, which really does put you in between a bit of a rock and a hard place at the moment. But I just think we're on such a good run at the moment. Like I think we've won. Like, we haven't drawn a game yet. I don't think that's going to be the case. Mind you, we struggled against you at Dalymount. We struggled against you in Turner's Cross. So I really couldn't rule out Cork winning. But I think that was before we went on our good run. So I'd say we'll just have too much for you. I'm going to make a prediction that Mousse is going to get his second league goal against us tonight, or tomorrow night. I think if, like, you need Rory Keating back. I think Rory Keating's been fucking class. Like, even amongst like, kind of diamond in the rough stuff. I think he's been fantastic for Cork when he has played. It's unfortunate that he's injured, and he did real damage against us with Keating and Maguire. That's some duo, and it's a shame. I think that they're at Cork because they're doing so bad at the moment. But regardless, I think he's need Keating back and fast. If you don't get him back, then I think he's doing from drop. And so, I say we'll win that one.
Yeah, I'm afraid I have to agree with you. I'm not that optimistic. I know we have a new coach and there is some positive impact about it, but I don't think that will be enough for us to get a 3 points. If we get a draw, it won't be that bad. But as you said, like, Bows are not really into draws, so you might end up with the 3 points. But it's football and it's the League of Ireland. We all know how unpredictable it is. So
it's so all or nothing that Amazon Prime are probably going to do a documentary about us soon.
Yeah. Cornell, would you revert to our understanding of this game, or can you share some optimistic views for the Cork fans out there?
I think you've got to be optimistic for Cork City. I think Bohemians are in very good form. They've had 4 wins and 1 loss. Cork City's form speaks for itself. Only 1 draw and 4 losses, which is not very great. But I think with the new manager that you've got with Gerard Nash now, I think we've seen some glimpses of what Cork City wants to look like and how they want to play. And I think if going into this game, Bohemians will be very, very confident that they can go in and get 3 points against Cork City. And I think Cork City, just needs some new reinforcements. Obviously, look, as you know, as Matthew said, I think when Rory Keating was in the team before, he's out injured now for 12 months now, and I think that's a big blow. Obviously, fantastic to get back, Maguire back into the team. You've got Daniels, of course, who's only just there temporary unless the club can find a way to make his deal permanent and let him stay. I do believe that, obviously, it would be a big blow if you lose Daniels, and I think it would be very difficult to go and find some sort of striker or one or two strikers. I think you still need a third striker just to work around the likes of Daniels and Maguire, because I think the way that Gerard Nash is doing it, I think he's just making sure that he's limiting Maguire's minutes so he don't overdo it with him because he just come back. But I think when Keating was in the team, everything was going nice and smooth and everything else. Look, Cork City will want to go on and find a way and win this. I think Cork City will give everything they've got. They'll give absolute effort to their game. They'll work hard as much as they can and find a way to get 3 points. Yeah, if you get a draw, you get a draw. Another loss wouldn't help, because I don't think that's the way, and then that's going to really question what is going wrong with Cork City. And obviously with the position that you're in a relegation playoff fight position. You want to get away from there, of course you do, and obviously you want to move up away from the table and stay up and keep away from those positions. But again, look, Cork City again, they're going to be reliant on Maguire. They're going to be reliant on Daniels to score the goals. You've got Greg Bolger back, which is a big boost already. You've got Ebeng who's just absolutely unstoppable. He's from being a centre back to a central midfield. That's another way. And then you've got Truce as well, who's been saving you out of games. But look, Bohemians again, look, we all know about Attorney, we all know about Denvoy, we all know about them, we know how good they are. Del Rooney, we all know about how fantastic they are. So they are going to be in huge confidence of going into this game. But I think this is a chance for Cork City to really prove themselves and say, listen, look, you're coming up against a team that has won 4 games this season. And you're looking at Cork City and saying, "Whoa, they've lost 4 games and only drawn 1." So it's not really great when you see the form right now. But I believe that Cork City can go in and shock Bohemians and say, "Listen, we might be in a bad position, but if we can cause an upset against Bohemians, then I believe that Cork City's got a chance of winning." So no ruling out the underdogs, as I said. So I'm going to go for a Cork City win against Bohemians.
I hope you are right, Cornell. I hope you are right.
No.
Dublin Derby, Shelbourne, Shamrock. I think it's a massive game for both teams, especially with the European pictures just down the road. I think both are going to be under a lot of pressure, because they will start to feel that the squad needs to be sufficient for both competitions, and they might struggle, so they need to put a lot of effort into this one, Matt.
Yeah. Look, I think Mark Hoyle said during the week that this break's coming at a good time for Shells. They've been very kind of unfortunate with injuries for a while now. I think they drew last week away at Cork, which was not a good result for them whatsoever. But I think like Hoyle said during the week, that this break's coming at a good time for them. I might be inclined to agree. I think Shells in a really bad spot at the moment. I think their bad run did actually start towards the end of last season. They are the least convincing champions I've seen. That's not biased or anything, but they're just genuinely the least convincing champions. The only reason they won the league last year was because Derry Balding. But aside from that, I just think right now, I don't think they could just pull it down to injuries. I just think genuinely they've just gone bad. They've gone really, really bad at the moment. And that showed last 10 games of the season, they only won 3 games or something. And then these games, obviously, they're not doing good either. I think in terms of Shamrock Rovers, look, they're top of the league now. They finally kicked into gear. They finally actually got off their arse and done something, which we're probably all kind of expecting they would. I can't see Shells winning this game. I'll be honest, I can't see Shells winning this game, especially considering they're in Europe for the first time in 18 years. They're obviously going to want to put time and resources into that because that's where the money is, etc. And they want to make sure that like they do well in Europe and that they don't just crash out the first round to some Wi-Fi password from at the back arse of Bosnia and Herzegovina or something. But aside from that, I just don't see anything but Rovers win here. I think Shells, they've been unfortunate with injuries. There's Sam Bone out, Sean Boyd out, loads of big names sort of missing. That's unfortunate, but you have to play your cards. And just think, you have to play your cards like they've been dealt. And I just think Rovers will have too much for Shells right now. I just don't see Shells winning because let's be frank, like they're not in a good spot. You know, the morale's down. I know the break would have come. The break came at a decent time for them. Maybe they've had time to reset, but I still see Rovers continuing on a good vein of form they're in at the moment and extend their lead probably at the top.
Is that simple in your opinion, Cornell, or Shelbourne can surprise Shamrock?
I think this is a big, massive Dublin derby. I mean, look, Shamrock Rovers are top for a reason, and they are top for a reason because of the form that they're in. They've won 4 of their games and only drawn 1. And Shelbourne have only won 2 and lost 1 and drawn 2 this season. They are in 5th place, and obviously, Shelbourne obviously are going to be in European football. They will really have that in their minds, and they don't want to go out in the first round and think, well, they're going into European football as potential underdogs who want to impress and want to find a way to make sure that they don't go out the first round or they get eliminated from the first round. Shamrock Rovers, they've extended their points at the top of the table. They're on form because of the likes of Dylan Watts and Matt Healy and Danny Grant. Obviously, they've added a new striker, John McColvin, obviously who can't play yet until July 1st. Obviously Michael Noonan as well, 16 years of age, still has the ability to be a special potential player. Pico Lopez has been in very good form as well. Josh Houlihan, who just got picked to play for Ireland, obviously is getting a good attraction from the EFL as well. EFL clubs are looking at him from the Championship to League One, so wouldn't be surprising if he goes, this summer, obviously. But this game, this is a massive derby. Shelbourne will go into this believing that they can cause an upset towards Shamrock Rovers because obviously, Shelbourne haven't been in the best of form as of late. They've had certain games where they could have won or they could have taken all 3 points. But look, I think there's no stopping Shamrock Rovers this season because of the red hot form they are in, and they've shown the quality and the class that they have. Look, I would like to see Shelbourne win this game. I would like to see Shelbourne get 3 points. I would like them to go on and really prove to Shamrock Rovers that they are the team that we all know that they are. I would like to see David Duff and, prove to Stephen Bradley that he is still the best manager in the League of Ireland, this season and in League of Ireland history. Look, again, these are both teams that are favoured to win the title. Obviously, Shamrock Rovers want to win it and win their 5th consecutive League of Ireland title. We all get that. We all see that. But Shelbourne, look, it's in their hands now. They have to go into this game and really find a way. And it's on home turf. It's not at Twilight Stadium, where it's in front of the Shamrock Rovers crowd, and the belief goes in their hands. It's at Shelbourne's ground, so at Tolga Park. So this is an opportunity for them to really impress their home crowd and really show that they've got the chance to be a special team and still be up there this season. So, but for me, I will rule out Shelbourne just yet. So, I mean, as much as I'd want Shamrock Rovers to win, and I can more see Shamrock Rovers going on and win, I think Shelbourne will be up for it. So, don't rule out Shelbourne just yet. So, I think a Shelbourne win for me.
Now, a game between 2 teams that are struggling, Sligo and Waterford. that's again unpredictable. Is there a favorite here, or should we all expect a draw, Matt?
Well, this is Saturday kickoff, so as our most Sligo fixtures, because they love Saturdays for some reason. Sligo bottom of the league, 12 points. You say Waterford are struggling there. They're 11 points clear of Sligo. They're 10 points clear of the relegation playoff places. In fact, it's actually quite interesting. If you look, there's only 13 points to separate first and eighth. Waterford, Galway, Derry, and Bows all have a game in hand. So really, like, it's like if Waterford win, they're only 10 points clear. They're only 10 points behind, assuming Rovers don't play, for example. So it's a tight enough league, I suppose. Waterford, I think Waterford, they're on an okay run at the moment. Drew their last 2 games, 2-2, home draws and by the Pats, and then they lost to Rovers, but then they went on they were on a 4-game winning streak beforehand. So definitely, I think it's going to be a decent win, I think, for Waterford. Like Rovers, Sligo just haven't really kicked into gear. I think I've been really disappointed by them. To be perfectly honest, like, they've won 3 games all season. They've won in the last 5. I'd be expecting a draw here, to be fair. I think this game just has a draw written all over it. I think Waterford have liked to draw recently, and I think Rovers, Sligo as well. Like, they'll again, really disappointed by them. I think they want to suddenly bounce back, but I think most Sligo Rovers fans will start to lose hope. I don't know, but yeah, I'd say it's going to be a tight game, though. I think it's going to be 1-1, but yeah.
Cornell, how do you perceive this game?
This game is another interesting game here as well. Waterford versus Sligo. Sligo Rovers haven't been in their best of form this season. They've only won 1 game, and they've had 4 losses this season. And it's not very great. 3 losses this season is not very great. As you look at their position in the table, they're 10th in the table, and Waterford is 8th in the table. So it's a game that I think will go in Waterford's position, really, to be fair, because Waterford, obviously, they've been in very good, decent form since John Coleman has come in. He's really sorted out who his best 11 is and who his starting 11 and his favoured players are. Obviously, seeing great form of Almond and Lonergan as well. They're really combining together, and their link-up play is absolutely fantastic. Again, we're seeing the likes of Coyle and Olibenka as well, 2 Arsenal graduates that's really clicking. So it's an interesting game. As for Sligo Rovers as well, I think Sligo Rovers need to really respond. I think the break has done them really well and has really helped them, and it's made them realize, that their position where they are in the table is not very great. They are in a relegation playoff fight, and they need to move away from it and not have too much reliance on Hackey and Owen Eldon, who's getting a lot of attraction from the EFL, and rightly so, because of the form that Eldon is in. But look, I think if I look at this from a certain point of view, I think Waterford has definitely got this in the bag, and I think they'll go on and beat and win this game, and I think they'll pile more pressure on Sligo Rovers, because Sligo Rovers, as I said, haven't been great this season. Only one that's been great, and the only reason is because of Eldon and Hackey. They are the only main reasons, and then because of the lack of squad depth that they have. And I think this transfer window, is definitely the chance for them to go on and find a way to basically improve this team, strengthen the team, make the squad even more bigger than how you would expect how it was last season. So, but in redundance of how I believe the result will go, I do believe that Waterford will go on and get 3 points here. So I think this will go Waterford's favour at the moment.
So let's say that happens, Waterford wins. Is John Russell also at risk? Because if you look at the other teams at the bottom, Cork City, they changed manager, although it was the coach decision to leave. Waterford, they got rid of their coach. Why Sligo is not having the same thinking?
Like I think I said I predicted at the start of the season John Russell will be the first to leave. Like I just think it was kind of, I saw Rovers doing bad. I know that Brian, the likes of Hakiki, they kept Eldon, but they lost a lot of players like against Chapman and stuff like that. Like all of whom were big kind of names for Rovers there. And I just think I'm really surprised that John Russell's still kind of in the job. I know like again signings haven't helped, but like he brought those players in. He decided to let the likes of Chapman go. So really that's kind of on him. I'm surprised he's still in the job when you have the likes of Waterford who were doing far better when Keith Long was doing far better with Waterford. Like, yeah, they weren't doing great, fair enough, but they were doing all right. They were thereabouts. Like, and who was the other? Cork City, like fair enough, kind of maybe, but I'm surprised, like, you know, John Russell is still in the job. And that's no disrespect to the man. I don't like when managers lose their job and stuff, when a man loses his job. But when you consider the fact that us Bows fans were calling for Alan Reynolds' head just 2 months ago, when we were like 6th, I'm amazed there hasn't been more calls for John Russell's head. I appreciate he's a young manager. This is his first managerial gig, but I just think, you know, this, like, how many more losses does Sligo need to have before? How many more games does Sligo need to lose before they decide to pull the plug on it? But that being said, like, I hope it works out for him because at the same time he has been kind of fecked over by kind of the needs for like club to bring in money and stuff, like again Chapman leaving, etc. But I think Sligo, with the players they brought in, likes of Hakiki, etc., like I'd be really disappointed if I was a Sligo fan, I'd be really disappointed with John Russell, and I probably would want him gone, bring someone else, like maybe Keith Long or something. Like he's free right now, so maybe, but at the moment it's not looking good for John Russell at the moment.
Cornell, do you think it's time to go for John Russell, or he should be given a few more weeks?
I think the way that it's looking at the moment, if John Russell doesn't win this game tomorrow against Waterford and he don't beat Waterford, I think it will be time for him to leave. Because John Russell, I think, has been given so many chances to really put it right, and he hasn't put it right. And there are some other League of Ireland managers that are out of a job right now, and they'll be looking at this and probably thinking, if he can't get any results together, and he can't get a starting 11 that he feels that would be suitable for Sligo to go on some sort of run, I think Sligo Rovers will be in serious trouble. And John Russell, I think, will feel the pressure if he can't get wins out of the games that they've got. Because this Sligo Rovers team are a very good team, and when I've watched them this season, the quality of football that they've played is unbelievable, but they just can't get the results in. And that is the problem. And then not only that, they're relying too much on Eldon. They're relying too much on hacking to bail them out when they are 2 goals down or 3 goals down. They are relying on them to actually do that, and they can't. You know, it's a team game. Yes, the lack of squad depth is not working. Of course, losing Chapman was not the right way. I felt that maybe Ellis Chapman could have stayed at Sligo Rovers, but he felt, okay, move on to a big club like Shelburne and see how he goes in there. Right now he's gelling really well in the league, in England Ireland football and for Shelburne. But again, John Russell has had a lot of chances and a lot of opportunities to say, well, put it right, find a way. So tomorrow is a must win for him, because if he can't win this game, he can't beat Waterford and the remaining games they have, it is time for John Russell to leave and let someone else step in and bring their own ideas, bring their own methods, know who their best 11 is, and know what their starting formation will be. Because as I said, and I'm saying it again, Sligo Rovers are a fantastic side, just like how Waterford are. But Sligo Rovers, I think, need to raise their game tomorrow. You know, and if Sligo Rovers FC is listening, I want them to raise their game tomorrow. I want them to work together as a team. I want them to work together, win together tomorrow against Waterford, because Waterford is not an easy team. And with the amount of fantastic players that Waterford has and how John Coleman has got them, despite his experience with Saloga Rovers, the same Saloga Rovers that where he was in 2014, before he left to go to Accrington Stanley, then he will want some retribution against his own club. Of course he will. That's how, John Coleman is. But Saloga Rovers, they need this win. And John Russell needs this win. He needs it, because if he don't, he's out the door. And the owners will be watching him, and he will have to impress them if he wants to keep his job.
Right. Let's now just briefly touch base on the first division, where a week back we saw Dundalk struggling to get a win in Wexford, and actually at some point people were convinced that they will be defeated for the first time. Matt.
I wasn't really keeping up with First Division, perfectly honest, but from what Dundalk fans have been saying to me, it's like their football's becoming less and less convincing, and to be fair, I'm inclined to agree. They're still obviously 6 points clear at the top of the First Division. They're unbeaten, but they're not winning games convincingly enough. Cove, I think, is starting to kind of creep up on them ever so slightly. I think, but look, at Wexford, they did well to hold on and to push Dundalk, and they were relying on a goal 2 minutes from time. So, if I was a Dundalk fan, be a little bit worried, but I don't keep up with First Division enough to really kind of get the full picture. If Dundalk fans, if you could enlighten me, are you playing well, are you not? If any Dundalk fans are watching, put it in the chat box or something, just let me know what's the story there. So.
Cornell, I just read on X that there is a chance that Athlone can replace Drogheda, and I don't know whether this is fake news or not. Sorry, I think it's not. But now I look at the table, and I was not aware of it. They're at the bottom. And how do you see the whole thing, Cornell?
Look, listen. First of all, I've got to say, well done to Dundalk. Absolutely, 12 wins this season, still unbeaten this season. 5 draws this season. They have been in unstoppable form this season, and they've shown the reason why they want to be promoted back to the Premier Division. Secondly, Kolb obviously and Bray are obviously teams that are trying to push them. So it wouldn't be surprising that both of those teams will fight for promotion. Wexford, obviously a team that obviously are on the rise at the moment, and they are looking the team that I don't think anybody wants to be playing at the present moment. Obviously, I think it would be nice to see Wexford in European football. Don't get me wrong. I think it would be great for them. Don't get me wrong. I think they've been in very, very good form. Treat United are starting to dip a bit. We all expected Treat United to be up there, but their form has really hit low a bit. So it's not really worked as expected. But we're talking about Dundalk here. We're talking about a team that got relegated and that were in serious trouble. And I think the way that Kieran has really managed them this season, I think has been amazing. He's got them to go on an amazing run, on a 12-winning streak run, that has never been untouched. Yeah, we expected them to properly go on and lose, but they proved once and for all that they can be undefeated still. They can go into their games and really prove that they are the underdogs of the First Division, because to get out the First Division is not easy. It's very, very hard. But look, Dundalk, I really would want them to go on and win the First Division and get promoted and really learn their lesson from last season and really work hard in the Premier Division when they get promoted. So I think the next game will be very crucial. I think they need to go on and carry on that performance and go on and make sure that they get the job done.
Can I just say as well, the whole thing about Athlone potentially being in Europe. So basically, the women's team obviously won the league last year, so they're in the Champions League. But in order to actually qualify for the Champions League as a second-tier team, you need to have won the cup. Or to qualify for Europe, you need to have won the cup. So apparently that's what one of the lads told me anyway. But so apparently it's completely off the table that Athlone will be able to compete. Not that they will compete as they're playing the first division, for crying out loud. They are not getting past first round qualified. If anything, they're probably not even making it on the plane. They'll probably lose by that much. But the point being that, like, whilst yes, Athlone do have a UEFA license because obviously their women's team are competing in Europe, they can't compete legally in Europe, I don't think. Again, that's just what the lads told me. I'm not going to name him in case he's wrong, but yeah, that's what the lads said to me anyway. I'd have to look more into that, but yeah.
Right. Now, the games taking place on Monday, because those two teams will be playing in Europe. It's a Dublin derby. I know that there are games in between, so it's very hard to predict the action on Monday, but we can say a couple of words about this one, Cornell.
Another Dublin derby again, St. Pat's versus Shelburne. Absolutely a game that I think is a must-watch. I think St. Patrick's will definitely be up for this game, and I think Shelburne, will be up for it as well. I think if St. Pat's can get back to their absolute best and start getting wins on the trot, just like how Shelburne need to, and carry on that quality that we've been seeing from St. Pat's, then I think St. Pat's have got a chance. But I think I would like to see St. Pat's carry on the quality form that they've been doing so far, and try to learn to win away from home, because when we all know when they're at home, they're always a difficult team to play against. So I would like to see St. Pat's win this game. So I'm going to go for a St. Pat's win again.
Matt, your views on this one?
To be perfectly honest, I'd nearly hold off on a prediction because they have another game to play before that. But because these games, there's another one, Drogheda and Rovers. These games are just the European, like with the European dates. So like obviously to give the teams a window which they can actually play European games. But I'd be giving a bit of I'd kind of hold off making a prediction and make like thoughts, because again, like they haven't even played a game before that yet. So but if it was off the cuff right now, I'd probably be saying like the Pats will win that one, or you know what, I'll go for a draw. I just think I think if if Shells like lose tomorrow night, which I expect they do, that they want to bounce back in some way. I think they'll be able to do that against Pats. But Pats themselves are on a decent run at the moment as well. So I'd say I'd be expecting a draw from that one, but I'll hold real kind of judgment until like Friday, Saturday, when we know the injury and also.
Now the last game I have here is Drogheda Rovers. Drogheda was meant to play in Europe, so that's the reason why they play on Monday. But until then, yeah, they need to keep with the schedule as it was planned. Of course, they play Rovers, so there was no way around. But how much of that can impact the game, Cornell, in your perception?
I think the way it can impact the game, obviously, is that Shamrock Rovers will be looking to carry on their outstanding form this season, with the likes of Noonan and so on. I think this is a game that I think that this could go in Shamrock Rovers' favour, but Drogheda will find ways to basically frustrate Shamrock Rovers' defence. I mean, despite of the inform that Houlihan's been in, and and so on. But look, I think at the present moment, I think it will more go into. I think I could possibly see a draw out of this game, because it's very, very hard to tell if it's going to be a win or a draw. But because obviously Drogheda are an underdog team that always like to make things difficult for big and small teams, then it wouldn't be surprising if I see a draw. But I think the way that form that Shamrock Rovers have been this season, I think there's no stopping them right now, and I think they'll be at top of the table for a long time until the end of the season. So I think a draw, I think, is more likely in this one.
Do you also go safe, Matt, or would you take a risk and pick a side?
Again, there's a game in between, so I won't really be. I'll kind of be holding my judgment on that. But again, what I will say is like Drogheda again, it'll be all over them. They're going to the Court of Arbitration for Sport in terms of whether or not they'll be able to play in Europe. So what that basically means is they'll have all this going on behind the scenes. That will impact the players mentally because they don't know if they'll be able to compete in Europe. They don't know if, the thing they've worked so hard for, will they be able to come to them? But I still think, I think that will hang over them like a dark cloud. And I think, I do see Drogs going into a bit of bad run of form because of all what's happening, because mentally it's really difficult to sort of get out of your mind that there's so much turmoil going on that could decide your future and stuff. Like beforehand, like the Drogheda players were so excited, they're like, I'm going to be able to play in Europe. I'm going to go in Europe. You know what I mean? But now it's like, that might not be happening. I'm fucking worried about it. It's like a dark cloud hanging over my head. Like, I'm sorry, but that's going to impact the players mentally. Probably a Rovers win, but I'm not going to outright predict it because, again, there's a game to be played in between then. So,
yeah. So what to be said next week? We'll be back. Probably we'll do it 1 or 2 hours earlier if you're okay with that, lads. Since I have my sister coming over, actually, I'll bring her to the game in Tavat on Friday night. So there'll be a few of us cheering for Cork with a non-Cork accent, just for people to know. We'll also be in Tavat. But yeah, going back to Thursday show, we might start a bit earlier. So I want to thank you for joining us this evening. I know, Cornell, we're going to be DJing, so best of luck for your event.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Where can people find your DJ stuff? Is there anything on YouTube or X?
Normally I post them on Twitter or on Instagram, but you can find it on the Equator Game Bar Lincoln, and they'll post all the content on there with all the DJs that have performed at the Open Decks event. So
yeah, cool. So make sure that you look for it, guys, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't. And if you know someone who's into the League of Ireland, to be good if you can share, or someone who's into football as such. It's always good to promote the Irish football. It's going in the right direction, but the more people we have behind, the easier it will be to spread the league to other parts of Europe and the world. And if you enjoy our conversation, make sure to give us a thumbs up. And I hope I see you next week around the same time. So have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Take care. Have a good one.
Take care. Bye-bye.